Hi there. In this video I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot and fix a speaker that isn't working. So basically it's not producing any sound anymore, it doesn't have a DC resistance on it, so something's bad in there. Okay, so first thing, obviously take it out of the enclosure and check your flexible wires. The one right there in the middle, for example. They are soldered to the speaker connections. So, yeah, baby girl in the background trying to also talk. The connections themselves, yeah, these are really old speakers, so they look quite bad, but they are tinned, and the wire, let me try and show you, is there. So it's in the tin, it's making contact. Same on the other side, it's somewhere in there. If both wires seem to be in good shape, and mine do seem to be in good shape, they are not broken, they aren't dangling or something like that, it means that from connection on both sides to the cone we are good to go. Sadly, for this particular speaker that's not a good thing, because those wires are the easiest to fix. You can buy them, most speaker stores have them, and you can replace them quite easily. But for me, they weren't the problem, or they are not the problem. I don't even know yet the problem. Next, try to scrape. If the wires are visible inside the cone, try to scrape on them so you can try and make contact directly on the wires here. Luckily mine are visible, so I scraped them, but I still don't have continuity in this point here. For some speakers the dust cap is bigger, it's over them, so you will directly need to remove the dust cap. But also for me, I need to remove it because still no continuity even at this point, so something is damaged below this. So don't take my word for it, I'm just going to show you somehow. I'm trying to make contact on the scraped areas where the wire is directly visible. Okay, we had something for a tiny bit of a second there, but that could be just a multimeter error. It should be beeping. So, no go. There is something, but that value is nowhere near what it actually should be. So I'm thinking that a wire somewhere is bad, and maybe it's just scraping and touching a bit from time to time. So yeah, let's open up this thing, sadly, and there are solvents to open up this, but I'm not sure what kind of glue was used here, and I really don't want to damage the paper cone, so I think I'm just going to use some, sorry, bumped this thing. I'm going to use, yeah, saying don't damage the paper cone and then showing you what I'm going to use. Doesn't really make sense maybe for you, but this is what I will use. And just slide it slowly under this thing, like this. And go all around. Yeah, if the glue is really strong and maybe this thing is made out of plastic or something, it will be hard for you and you will need to use some kind of alcohol. Try it with alcohol first, paint, solvent, but that will damage the cones. That's really risky. Maybe just a tiny bit of acetone, but if the cone is plastic, acetone will dissolve it again. So yeah, for me, safest way in my opinion is to do something like this with patience, and I will be able to remove it for sure in decent shape. Do not push it too much in, you could cut wires or destroy something in there, the coil, yeah. So let's continue. Okay, so I scraped the wire down there and the other wire down there. These are directly the wires from the voice coil, the thin ones. The thick, really hard to say that word for me. The thick ones are the ones from there. They go through the membrane and are soldered to the thin ones. So let me just show you something interesting. I'm touching the thin wires. Let me try and show you. Yep, we have continuity. If I could actually do it again. But if I try higher, no continuity. Now what I can check is the side that has a problem. We have continuity on this side from the thick wire to the thin wire, so this is good. And on the other side, nothing. So our wire probably is broken somewhere around this area. That doesn't matter for me or to me at all, because I'm going to take a thin wire from here to here and make directly a contact, and this speaker will work once again. For you, it could be, if you don't even get continuity at this level, sadly it could be that your voice coil is burned up or somehow got interrupted. At that point, there are two options. You could recone your speaker completely, so remove absolutely anything, buy a new voice coil with the correct diameter. You need to measure the one that you already have. There are tons of voice coils out there on eBay, on AliExpress, on whatever, so that is not a problem. You will find one with the correct specifications. But for an old speaker like this one, you do not find recone kits. And if you try and use something generic, it will not look like this, it will not work like this. It will be just the old basket and magnet and motor assembly, whatever, but it will be a different speaker. So what I would do if I would need to, but luckily I don't, I would try, you could use solvent, but then again, I don't know what kind of glue this is, and this is a 40-year-old speaker, so I don't know if that glue can be softened again. I would simply cut really close to the voice coil. Just cut all around, simply make a hole in the middle and pull out that voice coil. And then when you buy a new one, you can push it in. Yeah, you need to be careful to have the proper level of the voice coil. It needs to be at this level, the middle of it. So that will be a bit tricky if you don't open up completely the speaker, but you can do it. Just watch a lot of recon videos on YouTube, it will give you confidence. And I would put the new voice coil in, and that will be probably longer. The former will be longer. I would not cut it, so when it's in, I can put glue all around it and glue it. In this particular speaker model, the spider itself is not glued directly to the voice coil. It's glued, kind of hard to focus in there. It's glued to the pepper cone. So as long as the pepper cone paper cone is glued to the new voice coil assembly, you are done. So yeah, luckily again, I don't need to go to that level of fixing. If I ever need to, I will link a video of fixing a speaker at that level in the description of this one. But yeah, for me, my trusty crappy soldering gun, and let's solder. When soldering a wire in there, make sure that it is at least as thick as the voice coil wire, but I recommend using a bit of a thicker wire. So actually I have here two wires wrapped one against the other to make sure it's focus. It's a bit thicker, and simply hold it like this, glue it, solder it in there, and then you cut it. It's easier if you have something to hold on to. So let's get to it. Finally, we have solder in both points. It took an enormous amount of time to get it there, because this thing, as you can see on the other side, it's coated in paint and glue, mainly actually probably black glue. So every single time you try to heat it up, it will actually start to boil that glue, turn it into charcoal, whatever. So it's quite annoying. But yeah, we have solder, so now I can put the wire on, and I have actually found where it was bad. It was right in this point here. As you can see, from here to here we are missing a piece. It was on the table. I think I threw it away. So yeah, that wire for sure was bad. Let's finish this and make sure when you are working on that you do not drop anything into the voice coil. Any debris that go in there will make this thing rattle like crazy, and it's really hard to get them out. So be careful. It wasn't really working. The thin wire had the same problem as the thick wire. It was close to that glue that was charring, or how you call it. So I got it off and spun it around my thick wire, my new wire. It's good. I just need to press it onto the membrane and put glue on top of it, and we are all good to go. Hopefully you have thicker wires to work with, and be really careful. If you start to break that wire, you will go closer and closer and closer to the voice coil itself. So try to start as high as possible in case you break it once or twice. Luckily I didn't break it, but you never know. I'm not even sure if you can see it. They are connected. Hopefully you can see somehow. At this point I'm going to mix a bit of 5 minutes epoxy and put it on top of that wire right there, because I don't want to ever need to open up this speaker. And this stuck somehow. I hope I didn't buy an already dried up. No, it was just stuck. I'm not going to make too much of this epoxy. This is more than enough. So let's get this in high speed. The epoxy is solid now. It's not fully cured, but it's solid. So I can work with this good enough at this point. I did one last check. Everything is working. That would be just dumb. That I wouldn't do that. Let me also show you a quick beep. So it's working. At this point we want to put back the dust cap. Make sure there is no debris and everything is working normally, and it is. So that is quite good. Let me just triple check. Yep. And now many do something like this. Put the glue on this, and then what happens happens. I hate that. Doesn't make sense. So you simply do a small ring from any kind of tape that you have around the house. doesn't actually matter, as long as it doesn't stick extremely well that you cannot get it off. And at this point, stick it onto the dust cap. And you have control over it. You can put it exactly where you want and how you want. Hey, isn't it easier like this? Yes, it will not stay on this for too much, but we don't need it to stay for too much in here. If I could actually get it out of my fingers now. Anyway, and for glue, I'm going to use something, I think it's called Elmer's glue. Oh, and it's stuck. It's white, you can glue wood with it, also obviously paper, and when it dries up it becomes transparent. So that's perfect for what we need, and it never gets 100% solid. It remains a tiny bit flexible, but just a tiny bit. Now what I would like to see how this thing fits in here, because it was glued before and I would like to find its original position if I could. But I think this is as good as it will ever get, so let's put some glue on it and glue it in place in high speed. Okay, so it's in place. It's not perfect, but again, this thing dries clear, so that helps us a little bit. This is quite a brittle and small and light dust cap, so it's a bit harder to put in place than any bigger ones and thicker ones. Then put something with just enough weight that it doesn't crush it, but holds it in place on top of this thing, and let it dry. And then hopefully all is good, and test the speaker. Voila, dried up. Testing it at low volume until I'm sure that the dust cap is fully cured. Yep, we fixed this little thingy. Now all that I'm going to do is put some black marker on top of this, so you do not see the wire inside that thing, and just a bit right there, and then we should be okay. And we are done. This thing is fully working. You cannot see the wire anymore. Yes, it's glossy. If you have matte paint, put a little bit of that. Anyway, for me it doesn't really care. The important thing is that this little guy is working again. And yeah, if you want to see more of this particular speaker, I have a video with 4 of them. And if you want to know how to add Bluetooth connectivity to any amp, I have a video with that also, so they will be in the description of this one. And that's about it. Hopefully you are able to also fix your video based on the information that I gave you. And yeah, as always, like, subscribe, share, and see you in the next one. Bye.